Greetings, you are a GEOX. The main geopolitical developments center on three areas: the political escalation involving Belarus, the Battle for Lyman, and the logistics war in southern Ukraine. We begin with the reported ultimatum from Volodymyr Zelensky to Alexander Lukashenko. The core issue concerns infrastructure near the Belarus-Ukraine border, which is believed to support Russian drone and electronic operations. The escalation logic is straightforward. If Belarus refuses compliance, Ukraine may respond with targeted strikes against related military infrastructure. Such a step would immediately activate allied obligations between Belarus and Russia, potentially involving Vladimir Putin in a broader response framework. At that point, the conflict would shift from indirect pressure to direct escalation involving Belarusian territory. Whether this scenario occurs depends entirely on Ukraine's decision-making. Without a strike, the ultimatum remains political pressure rather than a trigger event. Lyman operational sector. The second major front is the Battle for Lyman. Fighting continues along the eastern approaches, linked to the wider Donbass operational axis. The objective remains consistent: pressure. Ukrainian positions east of the Seversky Donets River and gradually disrupt logistics supporting forward defenses. River geography plays a decisive role. Forces operating east of the river depend on exposed crossings and limited supply routes, which are continuously targeted. This creates a structural disadvantage for any long-term defense on the eastern bank. The Lyman sector is not isolated. It is directly connected to broader strategic targets, including Kramatorsk and Sloviansk. The operational pattern follows a familiar model: encirclement pressure, logistics disruption, and gradual attrition rather than direct assault. Ukrainian forces are responding with counterflank operations from secondary bridgeheads, attempting to delay consolidation and create pressure on advancing units. However, the key constraint remains logistics. River crossings and drone surveillance limit sustained supply movement, making prolonged defense increasingly difficult. Crimea corridor. The third dimension is the logistics war across southern Ukraine, especially the land corridor linking Russia to Crimea. This corridor is essential for sustaining Russian forces in the southern theater. Ukrainian strategy focuses on disrupting supply routes through sustained drone strikes and long-range interdiction. The goal is not territorial capture, but degradation of logistics capacity. In response, Russian forces have deployed dedicated electronic warfare and counter-drone units to reduce strike effectiveness. As a result, the effectiveness of drone operations fluctuates rather than steadily increasing or decreasing. Electronic warfare has become a decisive factor in this sector. Satellite communication systems, including Starlink, are reportedly subject to active interference and jamming attempts in contested areas. This creates a dynamic balance where both strike systems and countermeasures evolve simultaneously. The result is a logistics war of attrition rather than a decisive breakthrough. Modern warfare structure. Across all theaters, a common pattern is emerging. The conflict is no longer defined by clear front lines. Instead, it is characterized by fragmented control zones, overlapping infiltration areas, and continuous drone surveillance. Traditional maps showing stable front lines no longer reflect operational reality. What exists instead is a deep, contested zone stretching tens of kilometers, where control is partial, temporary, and constantly shifting. Small units, reconnaissance groups, and drones dominate this environment. The key factor is no longer territorial occupation alone, but logistics survivability under constant surveillance and strike pressure. Strategic stalemate in Ukraine. Strategically, the situation remains open and unstable. In the Lyman sector, pressure continues toward Ukrainian defensive positions west of the Seversky Donets. In the south, the logistics competition between drone strikes and electronic warfare continues without decisive dominance. In the Belarus dimension, escalation remains conditional and depends on political decisions rather than battlefield necessity. No single front determines the outcome independently. Instead, the conflict is evolving as a system of interconnected pressure points, military, logistical, and political. That is the current operational picture.